Sir, we're getting ready to test the emergency spacesuits with the new species called... Chief Safety Examiner Zinderchair halted to increase magnification on his infopad before continuing. Humans. Early indicators are that this particular species may foresee redesign and replacement of all emergency spacesuits. Thed Rizici, director of the Intergalactic Emergency Safety and Emergency Response Agency, rubbed a tentacle over his second eye stalk in irritation and disbelief. That's absolute balderdash. The suits were designed to accommodate a wide variety of species. The body material can expand 3 times its size and has sufficient room to accommodate up to 24 manipulators or moving appendages. How in the 7 blessed stars can this new species be so unique to require a redesign? And do you have any idea how many trillions of credits that would cost? We'd have to recall every emergency suit in the galaxy. Well, sir, they are bipedal and... The Chief Safety Examiner continued, before being cut off. By what? The Director exclaimed, and looked down at his 4 moving appendages. It was universally known that his species had gotten the short end of the evolutionary stick as a quadruped. Most civilized species had multiple moving appendages, so they could never become unsteady if one was lost. How do they even move appropriately without falling over? Unsure, sir, the Chief Safety Examiner responded. We have doubts they ambulate in a reasonable fashion. We have accumulated hours of security footage showing these beings having extreme difficulties walking on most stations. They seem to bump into ceilings, trip over nothing, and go flying long distances, or generally take what they call baby steps to avoid issues. The Chief paused for a moment, before shifting an appendage in a gesture that meant, warning, incoming bullshit. They claim this is due to being used to high gravity of at least 2 times galactic norm, and our station gravity often being tuned well below galactic standard for energy savings. But this is considered to be unconfirmed nonsense, and just an excuse for their inability to move properly. Most serious experts agree that these sapiens likely developed on a world without any significant predators or environmental threats. You just can't survive anything serious with such a lack of acceptable locomotion. With a casual flick of a tentacle, they sent some holovids to the Director for review. The Director couldn't pull his eye stalks away from his holoviewer. Vid after vid showed a remarkable difficulty or outright incompetence in moving like a reasonable sapient. One clip showed a human taking a powerful stride forward, only to launch itself up and smash its head on a door frame. Another showed a human running around a corner, only to somehow misjudge their balance and fling themselves into the corridor wall, the impact being mostly absorbed by their shoulder, but the head also hit with enough force to make the human grimace. However, it was the 3rd security vid that was the most damning. A human looked up at a ceiling light and made a bet with the human standing next to them that they could easily touch it. After the wager was accepted on the basis of a confection called a pudding cap, they crouched down in preparation to leap upwards. In this human's defense, the leap was spectacular, and had no issues getting up to the ceiling. The problem was, the leap was too forceful, and the Director flipped the replay to slow motion to watch the impact, as the human's head hit the ceiling and the rest of its body came up and crumpled around it. Then, the entire human mass fell down to the floor, with the unfortunate sapiens landing in what the system informed him was a faceplant on the floor. To add insult to injury, the other human laughed and then demanded payment for the bet, as the human had not actually touched the ceiling light. The video evidence was clear. Humans have unexpectedly powerful legs for some reason, and absolutely no reasonable control over them. Ridiculous, the Director shouted. With such a lack of movement control, I doubt the ceiling of any human building is less than 5 meters high. And I hope their primary processing organ is somewhere in their chest, because if it's in their head, they must all be afflicted with various degrees of brain damage. I would tend to agree, but that does not help with the emergency suit issues, the Chief Safety Examiner pointed out. Their upper manipulators can usually fit into a standard suit's appendage coverings, as they average up to 3 times galactic norm. On specimens with larger arms, we expect they will still be able to insert at least 1/3 of their upper manipulator and be able to use the secondary manipulation appendages called fingers. The suit can stretch appropriately to accommodate their body, and the multiple viewing ports are sufficient for emergency purposes. It is the lower walking ambulators they call legs that present the problems. Once again, they flipped a tentacle on their info pad towards the director, and a hollow projection of a human leg appeared. "Oh, now that's a disturbing sight," the director commented, while shaking all 4 eye stalks in revulsion. "It gets worse, sir," the chief safety examiner said, as his entire body quivered. "The lowermost portion of the legs are called feet. If they do not wash their feet daily and change appendage coverings regularly, bacterial growth can result in a Class 3 biohazard strong enough to induce vomiting in any normal being within 10 meters. Even with proper care, their external foot coverings, called shoes or boots, often qualify as Class 3 biohazards, but the range of effect is reduced to 1 to 3 meters. That revelation shocked the director so much that his eye stalks froze for 10 whole seconds before they could shake with revulsion. He needed a solution. The alternative would be to recall all existing emergency suits across the galaxy and replace them with new designs just to accommodate one new species. The cost would be trillions of credits, years of inspections and paperwork to ensure every ship and station updated in accordance with the regulations. It would be a nightmare. Suddenly, it struck him. The solution was so obvious, he wondered why the chief safety examiner hadn't thought of it. With uplifted tentacles of satisfied resolution, the director proposed a solution. "Well, can we get them to put just their feet into appendage holders rather than the entire... what did you call it? Leg?" The director pondered thoughtfully. "From the few successful security hollows you presented of these Who-mans walking, they seem to be most successful and safe when taking those motions called baby steps. In an emergency situation, it might be best to force this so they are unable to fling themselves into ceilings or walls. A slow and controlled movement would be an acceptable risk to prevent them from wild movements which would result in brain damage or endanger the safety of others." "Inspire solution, sir," the chief safety examiner exclaimed with excitement. "I will update the field test team immediately."